Well, somehow we are here again is essentially the ups and downs end of year awards. Today, my friends, we are focusing on WWE. Because we are going to go through the whole year and I'm going to give the good bits up and the bad bits are down. And of course, I will forget some stuff because I am an idiot. So make sure you drop those comments below. I'm also Simon Miller. And now we go. And we are going to start with the Golden Up because I tell you, everything we did for Wrestlemania 40 Sunday night main event, oh yeah, it gets a damn Golden Up. I'm also going to throw the final boss in there as well because every single thing The Rock, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns did on that adventure was so damn good. And what made it doubly special, as we would learn, is that this plan was moving all the time and it was in flux. It's meant to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns and Cody won the Royal Rumble. It's like, excuse me, I'd like to have that main event spot too. And who even knows what the original direction was? What we did do was one of the most damn interesting WrestleMania builds in years. It also saw Cody Rhodes finally finish his story and win the WWE title. And I watched pro wrestling to feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum, and that's exactly what this was. In terms of the match itself, it is just sports entertainment personified, because you have the first half, which is a really good wrestling match, and the second half is just would anybody who's famous like to turn up. Because you get John Cena, you get Seth Rollins in his Shield armor, of course you get The Rock, and you get The Undertaker. And the only way this could have been better if Steve Austin was here and he hit a stunner onto the Great One. I tell you, I don't think I ever would have gotten over it. But it was brilliant then and it's brilliant now, and I actually think it's a wonderful showcase of what WWE is great at. I have gone back and watched it many a time throughout 2024, and it just makes me feel good. Damn it, I love it. And we are going to stick with another Golden Up just to get all the positivity out there as soon as we can, because after sitting down and think about it, that CM Punk Drew McIntyre feud, man, is one of the best of the year. Now, a huge reason for this is because CM Punk got injured at the Royal Rumble because of Drew McIntyre, meaning he wasn't able to compete on TV. But these two, and I presume Triple H, sat down and they just weaved this storyline where they were going to talk and they were going to cut promos and they were going to do things on social media. And every day you woke up going like, man, I am really, really intrigued. By accident or on purpose, it also just allowed Punk to fit back into WWE effortlessly. And in terms of the work that Drew McIntyre has ever done, this is probably right up there with some of the best. It also culminated with that Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood, and man, not only did they absolutely kill each other, but for the past few years, we've all been like, man, WWE has run that stipulation into the ground, and Drew and Punk heard this, they understood the assignment, and they took it and they turned it into this horrible barbaric thing again. So that's another box ticked. I also think they use this to both increase their star power, which is what wrestling is meant to be. So yeah, here's a massive round of applause for both of those guys. They totally smashed it. Incredibly as well, as we do get to the end of 2024, do you know who had another great 12 months? Of course it was the Bloodline. Basically the heartbeat of WWE over the last 4 years. Everything with Roman Reigns and the Usos and Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga and Tangaloa, and of course Jacob Fatu. Well, I can't take my eyes off it, man. And Sami Zayn was in there and CM Punk joined the lot as well. I mean, who predicted that one? Nobody had it on their bingo card. You also had all the stuff with Paul Heyman, which made it even more of a, oh, what's gonna happen next? It was like reading a detective novel. But also there were beats here that kind of evolved. Like when Solo Sikoa said, I'm the tribal chief now. You could see that he was insecure and he didn't mean it. And then by the end of the year, he was just being such a funny and wonderful goof, and now I actually acknowledge him. That's right. We've also built a monster future superstar in Jacob Fatu, so I don't know who is writing this. I would imagine it's all of them coming together. But to carry this on for almost half a decade, you have to take a finger, and ironically, point it in the up direction, because it is getting an up. I would imagine that 2025 is probably when we put this all to bed, and then we can look back on it and say, that was one of the best stories WWE ever told. Let us get all negative Nancy now, because it hasn't all been peaches and cream, and yeah, when you get to the men's tag team scene, well, it's definitely been better elsewhere. And the best way to sum this up, and it is not their fault, is to look at the tag team title reign of JD McDonagh and Finn Balor, because Joe Tessitore even mentioned this on Raw. I can't remember the exact figures, but they had held the belts for like 150 days, and they'd only defended them twice. I mean, you may as well forget about those things and kick them off into the Phantom Zone. I just think they went downhill ever since we did separate them after WrestleMania 40, and they only really kind of picked up on SmackDown when the Motor City Machine Guns won them. Then we had all the stuff with DIY, and we had all the stuff with the Street Profits. That was like, I don't know, what, November 2024? We took way too long. There was also drop ball moments as well, like Sami Zayn and Jey Uso came together to beat the Judgment Day when they were the champions, but they never got a shot too. So it just didn't feel like we had the same thought process as usual. As I've told you time and time again, it makes me a sad panda. The good news is there are a bunch of amazing teams which should sort it out for 2025. But of course, we're not talking about 2025. When we bring 2024 into the equation, it's getting it down. And it's another down for some of these NXT call-ups. I mean, Blair Davenport, Cameron Grimes, Dijak, Kiana James, Baron Corbin, Apollo Crews. I mean, poor Cameron Grimes and Dijak got released from nowhere, which didn't seem to make any sense. And while Kiana James did get injured, I hope she's doing okay, even before that, didn't feel like we were really pulling the trigger. Apollo Crews also hasn't done much of anything, which is the same for Blair Davenport. And how the hell did we let Baron Corbin go? He had gone down to NXT and totally reinvented himself for the 42nd time. And he got onto SmackDown and he just didn't do much of anything. I think we're going to look back on that and go, damn it, we dropped the ball. Now, there have been a bunch of good NXT call-ups as well, but I want to make sure that everybody gets a fair opportunity when they are on the main roster. Now, some will sink and some will swim. When it comes to these guys, when they were coming and they were going, then they vanished from our television sets. I don't think that's the way to do it, and I do think it's getting it down. And we can tie somebody else into that as well, the tale and the bizarre booking of Giovanni Vinci. And he had all these videos going, oh man, I'm Italian now, and I love the pasta. When he had 2 matches with Apollo Crews, I think the grand total of those matches was around about 2 minutes, and he lost them both thanks to the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. WWE then realized this was a stupid way to try and introduce a new character. And where has Giovanni been for the last 3 months? I don't know. He's totally missing. He should be on a milk carton. It just goes back to this whole idea of why do we have to break teams up when there are no need? He would have been fine in Imperium. Yeah, once again, you tell me, bro, because I don't know. Down. Let us get back on track though, because do you know what has been bloody great in 2024? The so-called B pay-per-views. I mean, be it Clash of the Castle, Bash in Berlin, or Backlash, there have been so many good moments that we've got from these, especially because often WWE was like, hey man, why don't we go overseas and enjoy these crazy wazy crowds? You also got huge moments like CM Punk screwing Drew McIntyre in his home country of Scotland. Don't forget that Jey Uso reaction he got in France. I'll level with you, my friends. Sometimes I go watch it on YouTube. It is an actual delight. It just gets me excited because I think WWE now realizes this can be lucrative and that North American audiences will still tune in. And in 2025, we'll probably do more of this, and also the level of quality is way higher than it used to be. I mean, when the WWE Network came into existence and Vince McMahon realized, TV is where the money at, you had so many drab pay-per-views where you wanted to fall asleep. That is not the case now. And actually, every single one, I think, at the least has been pretty damn good. So that is absolutely an up. Once again, it gets me excited for 2025, because we've set the bar now, not Sheamus and Cesaro, so we've got to keep beating it. I am now going to get a bit controversial if you are one of these crazy people running around on the internet, because I think Cody Rhodes' title run has been a massive up. And for some reason, some people think it's been drab, but I personally don't get it. The feud with AJ Styles was fun because I'd always wanted to see that match, and every single thing with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, and halfway through the year when he was teaming with Roman Reigns, this was blockbuster AAA stuff. I was invested. He's also such a white meat babyface, and that just fills me with joy. I mean, for about 10 years in the WWE, it was always like, well, we don't like the guy that WWE has picked, so we're gonna boo him. And it created such a disconnect. But now Cody's music hits, everyone goes, whoa, and they just love him. You can feel the hearts in the air. That's the way I like my wrestling. He's also adapted to being the champion perfectly. Let's not forget where we were in 2016. And WWE has seen yet another uptick in business. People like to go, oh man, Cody hasn't been very profitable as champion. Go and look at his numbers, you crazy fool. He is doing record-breaking business. He's also a wonderful foil for Roman Reigns, and those two together just feel absolutely massive. So you will never be able to convince me otherwise. Crowning Cody at WrestleMania 40 was the right thing to do, and having him as champion throughout 2024, well, that was the right thing to do too. And do I love Cody Rhodes? Yes, a small part of me does. he is the best. And one of the reasons he was able to say the best was at the end of 2024, because once again throughout the year, do you know who has just been the best asset for WWE? His name is Kevin Owens. Not only did he spend 2024 calling out wrestling tropes, which is my favorite thing, but he never has a bad match. He can play a heel, he can play a face, he cut some amazing promos, especially when he did fall out with Cody, and all that stuff he was doing with Randy Orton, which is so easy to buy into. I genuinely do think he's a modern day GOAT, and I know I've said that on a lot of videos, but he is just so adaptable, and there is that word again. Also, he makes me laugh out loud, and then 5 minutes after that, he's being super duper serious again. Any promotion in the world would be better with Kevin Owens on the roster. I think it's even better these days because, of course, he has all this experience too, so he can just walk into any situation and hit a home run. Still hoping one day he does have a mammoth world title reign. That'll make me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum, but I don't have the power to do that. But I do have the power to give him an up. And basically take what I just said and copy it for the one and only Jey Uso. I mean, he really did have a breakout year in 2024, and some months he would outsell Roman Reigns and CM Punk when it came to merchandise. Now, that's not the be-all and end-all when it comes to you liking a WWE superstar, but that's the other part of all this. Jey Uso is great. I just want to be his friend. I know I shouldn't have said it. Some people like to get on his case because his match with Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania 40 wasn't very good, but you're allowed to drop the ball here and there, and it's not actually that bad, but again, go to that thing with Backlash, which was excellent, and when he won the Intercontinental title, it made me happy, man. It lit me up with glee, and we've talked about this. That's why I watch wrestling. Seeing him reunite with the Bloodline as well and tell Roman Reigns, man, you don't get to boss me around anymore. It's like, yeah, Jey, you evolve and you become better as a character. I am massively intrigued to see what we do in 2025, because I think the majority of his time will be spent as a singles wrestler. So maybe there's more championships in his future. Either way, he's got the crowd behind him, and isn't it wonderful to see him step into the singles division and do a good job? I think so. Let's get it up. Just gonna continue all this love as well, because I'm gonna give you a bunch of names. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, Gunther, Damian Priest, LA Knight, Ludwig Kaiser, Braun Breaker, Sheamus. There'll be some other names I'm forgetting as well, but every single person I have just thrown out to you has had at least one good storyline that when I tuned into Raw SmackDown, I was like, man, can't wait to watch it. I mean, Liv Morgan, Rhea, and Dominic, I think, have been excellent throughout the year, especially what they did at SummerSlam. And in terms of Dominic Mysterio's growth, I'm now convinced that one day he's going to be the WWE champion. Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser just had so many awesome brawls over the Intercontinental title. Do you remember that spot when Braun just ran as fast as he could into the announce table? That dude is built differently. LA Knight took it on himself as well to try and make the United States Championship mean something. And the feud between Gunther and Damian Priest, it's probably going to be remembered as sort of like a number 2 program. But my word, I thought they did brilliantly with it. I mean, the stuff at SummerSlam and the Survivor Series not only cemented Damian Priest as a cool babyface, but we also added layers to the Ring General's character. Now we know he can have confidence issues. He is just a human like you and me. So when you do throw that all into a big old pot, which sounds terrible, I am going to give it an up. It just goes to show that WWE has looked through the entire roster and gone, well, you all need stories. That is wrestling's secret sauce. Somebody else that should have had this, though, and we didn't quite get there, was Bayley, because she had that awesome world title win at WrestleMania 40. Then we didn't do much with it. I just don't understand it, because Bayley just seems like such an easy home run, and instead we kind of sort of, I don't know, jovial walked through a few months, then she lost it to Nia Jax, and she didn't even get a rematch. I mean, she kept having great matches, and she kept being an important part of the roster, but I thought we could have made this mean something. Instead, it was basically a footnote. I mean, her and Io Sky had one of the best matches at WrestleMania 40, and that should have been the platform for something else. When I went back through the year and I thought about this, it made me a little bit disappointed, because I am a sad loser. It's getting it down. And there's other elements of the women's division as well that I don't think were fully realized. I mean, you had the Pure Fusion Collective, Lyra Valkyria and her friends, and then Zelina Vega, who sometimes hang out with the LWO, sometimes didn't. I just think there was a lack of stories here, which again was kind of WWE creating a rod for their own back, because they had done so well throughout the entire roster that when some people didn't get it, well, once again, it was a shrug emoji. I mean, we made the Pure Fusion Collective a group and gave them a ridiculous name, and then they were barely ever on TV, down. Thankfully, though, it does seem like it's going to be better in 2025 because we have two brand new titles, the Women's US Championship and the Intercontinental title 1-2. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I think all wrestling promotions do have too many belts, but there has to be an asterisk when it does come to the female division. If you're gonna have all these championships running through the men's version of it all, well, you should do the same for the women. Let's see what we can do. And admittedly, there's probably not enough bodies on Raw or SmackDown at the moment, but just look at NXT. You have to assume a bunch of them are going to be called up in 2025. So if we do make these belts mean something, I actually think when we get to 2026, it could be of real benefit. So I am excited, especially because it is going to create more opportunities. And listen, I do admit that belts now in 2024 kind of act like a crutch, but this is absolutely an up. If we're being honest with ourselves, we should have done it years ago. Which brings me to my last up for the day. This may have been the best thing that WWE did do in 2024, rewarding the viewer. Because whether it's something like the New Day that we just built for ages before they did fall out, or when you'd have a promo segment and you looked in the background and you saw two people having a bit of a falling out, which would then tie on to Raw like 4 weeks later, Triple H has told you, listen my friends, if you're going to be a super nerd and watch every single part of this show, down the line, I'm gonna reward you. It is just such a nice, refreshing change from the old era, which would be in your face like, hey, this is the brand new superstar. And then when they didn't get over in 3 weeks, they would just vanish into the Phantom Zone, and you'd be walking around thinking, what the flub happened? It just gives you so much more confidence in the product, and of course, it allows you to build up brand new people that can smash through the glass ceiling. Because not everybody is going to get over in 10 seconds. You have to give this and everything some time. I think the Bloodline has been massively responsible for that too, because it proved it can work. But in 2024, it felt like we doubled down on this. So even though I have just said down, it is actually getting it up. Now, of course, like I told you at the start, there is loads of stuff I've forgotten, but that was deliberate because I want you to get in the comments below. If you like the video, share the video and subscribe. You can also click the video on the screen, which will be more of my reviews for 2024. But as always, thank you for supporting me for yet another 12 months, my friends. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you very, very soon.